Welcome to Resource Thursday with Techno Planet. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. This is the place to learn how to run your IT service business, whether you're a one-person shop or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-host. We have none other than Rick Smith over at Renactus Technology. Rick, how the heck are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Happy Thursday to you. Happy to be here.
Very cool, very cool. And I'm super excited for our guest today. We have none other, if you do not know who this gentleman is, we have Julian Lee over at Techno Planet. Julian, how are you today?
Doing great. How's it going, everybody? And I see Rick is getting with his coffee there and getting his morning Java into the system. Good stuff. All right.
getting that daily caffeine going. But before we jump into your story, Julian, and basically all the things that Techno Planet has going on, we want to take a quick break real quick and talk about one of my favorite things. Rick, I don't know if it's one of your favorite things, but it's definitely one of
my
mine.
favorites as well.
And we are talking about TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged is in Woodbridge, New Jersey. I was just going to say New Jersey. So we're not taking over the state, not this time eventually, but Woodbridge, New Jersey, in September 7th to the 10th at the Delta Hotels in Woodbridge. We're going to go ahead and have an evening mixer that will kick off 2.5 days of content. That's right, folks. You heard it. We are going to be doing 2.5 days of content this year. And it's going to help better your business to not only save money, save time, and improve your services. This show is for any sized IT solution provider, as mentioned in the intro, whether you're an emerging MSP or you're a veteran in the space. This is the place for you. Tickets are on sale now. Head over to techconunplugged.com for that early bird pricing of $199 as of the date of the show. Again, get your tickets over at techconunplugged.com, and we hope to see you there. All right, Julian.
Well, now you got me curious, Paco. What is techcon.com? What is it?
Techconunplugged.com.
What content is going to be in there? What's the focus?
So right now we're actually going into, because we've been very heavy on cybersecurity, which is a huge piece of what we're trying to do, in the nowadays and just the current landscape. But we're actually going to be offering up, and this is probably the first time we've mentioned it, is we're going to be doing a lot more operations and automations discussion on this content as well. We're going to have peer-to-peer panels and discussions and presentations as we have in the past, but we're also going to have some great vendors that are going to be there as well. Rick, should we kind of highlight some of those that have signed on so far, or should we wait till we launch that site?
Sure. I just like to say it is. I like to say first and foremost, this is our annual. In thinking about this, and somebody put it, it's our annual gathering of tech business owners, technical pros, and vendors in the space to all get together and help to better our business. But yes, we do have some sponsors. You can go ahead and name them, Paco. I don't want to steal a thunder there, but we have some sponsors so far that have committed.
Yep.
And so, they are.
And as we revamp our website, we're actually holding off on putting those sponsors online, but we'll go ahead and share a little bit of those news. We do have a few of your favorites that are going to be returning. We have Solutions Granted that will be coming back. We will also have none other than Synchro, the famous PSA and automation RMM tool, that will be back as well, along with some new favorites. We have not only Hackware, who's a security awareness training platform that we've had on the show before, but super excited to have Blackpoint Cyber come to our show as well. So head over again, techconunplugged.com, and you'll find out more here shortly as we get that site up and running.
And we will update the site as sponsors commit. And, again, we expect to have a full-fledged show with, a lot of great sponsors, a lot of great people, a lot of great presentations. And, again, I'm saying this, yes, I'm biased because it's in New Jersey, but this will be the best TechCon yet.
Sounds great. Great companies there. I know them. I know most of them well. So kudos to you and good luck. And, we may even help you out too as well. So let us know how we could help.
No, I appreciate that. It. But why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about you, Julian, and especially about Techno Planet. Why don't we go into a little bit about yourself? How did you kind of come into this beautiful thing we call the channel, and how did you find yourself here?
Well, so way back at the university, I was taking some courses in the physics and math department, and a friend of mine just randomly said, "Julian, you're in the wrong industry. Got to be in computers." And I was eating my sandwich and I almost spit it out because I'm going, what do you mean? What is that, right? And that's all he said. He planted his earworm into me. And days later, I just investigated, and I realized that he may not be as silly as I thought he was. So I switched majors and went into that. And then I came out and I saw the world of computers, and I realized, holy, this is really, really complicated. I'm not quite sure I'll be able to program this stuff because there's a lot more smarter people than myself in the room. And I got lucky. I looked into a product called mouse pads, and for a while, if you bought a mouse pad on the planet, you probably bought it from me. And so that's where I got my start, until my mom said, "What do you do for a living?" And I sell rubber pads, or rubber, is what I use. She go, "You got to be kidding me. That sounds like a AKA for something else." And I go, "No, it's anyways, I graduated from there, and we became a large distributor in the Apple world, and never looked back. And so we got from there, and we got into marketing, and then we just decided as kids, we're all like in our early 20s, and we just decided to do everything. So whether it was events, news media, marketing, ecosystem buildings, we used to call channel communities back then, PRMs, which is now what they call, PRMs and so on. So we basically did everything. We even had our own e-commerce platform that was integrated with all the distributors in real time. Actually, the first e-commerce platform to be integrated with all the major distributors in real time. So we just tried everything, and as we got bored, we just moved on to new things. Today, we've sort of settled in. We like news media; it's fun. And it's interesting because we get to talk to all the smart people, and we have no obligations to actually do anything else except, bring their stories to life. And we do a lot of things on the channel partner development side for vendors, helping them to build their ecosystems and automate their partner communities and all that stuff. And lately, we've jumped in, head in right into the cybersecurity world. We've been obviously playing in this space for a long time. And the challenge seems to be getting more complicated. Like we've been at this now for a lot of years, and still hacking is going up. Still breaches are going up. So if all this stuff, 4,300 vendors, is now tackling the cybersecurity nut, how come the nut hasn't been cracked yet?
Right.
And when you get down to the bottom line, it's the hackers are always one step ahead, and they're chilling, and they're doing really, really great. And there's just no way an individual company can solve this problem. And so it just dawned on us that we needed a village to solve this problem. And then we figured out what we needed to be in that village. And then we named that village the Cybersecurity Defense Ecosystem. And then we set out to build it. Swearing every day, by the way, because it didn't seem that it was possible. Until we did the first soft launch back in October, and we saw real traction. And actually on February 16th, 17th, we're actually going to be going live with the marketplace that's exclusively for cybersecurity. And when you peel back the onion, you'll see what I mean in the cybersecurity world. But that's where we've ended up now. We're all in the cybersecurity world.
Very cool. I mean, you said a lot of great things, and just a few things to unpack there is the mentioning of, it's hard to do a lot of this alone, right? And really figuring out how to not only get a lot of people together, but more specifically, how do you get a collaborative community together to really help rise that tide, right? Rick, we've always talked about it on previous shows where, the bad guys just have to be right once, right? And we are trying to mitigate that risk as much as possible. Kind of hearing what Julian has to say. What is your thoughts on just this ecosystem right now that has to be created in order to battle kind of just the threat landscape that's out there right now? You're on mute.
God, got to drink more coffee,
you
man.
You would think after a year and some change of this, I'd be a little more, but a little better with this. But to answer your question, it's that constant battle, and it's a conversation. It's funny you said it that way because it's a comment. And I guess I'm absorbing these conversations we have and passing them on, because I had the conversation with a client just yesterday afternoon. We were talking about just some of the things that we changed from our last year's plan to this year's plan. And I explained to him, and because he asked a question about somebody, I guess somebody called him or something, asked him about EDR, MDR. So we had this conversation, and I'm explaining it to him. He says, "Why is it that you guys are always changing? It's like you're always, nothing's ever good." And I said, "Well, again, the hacker only has to be right once. So what we have to do is we layer everything." I said, essentially, what we're doing is, and I said, you don't like to hear this, but we always have to take the approach that it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? So I got to make it hard enough. So again, your door is locked. I got 20 locks on the door. So they got to break every lock to get to you. And this is just the approach we have to take. And so again, it's just that constant battle, that constant fight of making sure you have it right, or making sure you're doing the best you can to protect your client. So I'll just leave it there, because there's a lot to say on this conversation, but I'll leave it there for right this moment.
There is a lot to unpack in cybersecurity for sure. I mean, we're learning every day about stuff, and we actually realize that simplifying your cybersecurity practice is better than an overcomplicated cybersecurity practice.
Right.
A lot of companies used to just simply buy layers and stack it up deep, like you said, 21 locks. I know some people got 82 locks, and they still get breached. And
right.
Actually, the funny reason why they get breached is because sometimes, people do leave companies. And when they do leave that company, they're monitoring the dashboard for like number 60, 22, and 23. And all of a sudden, they've left. And everybody thinks that those things are being monitored, but they're not. Then all of a sudden, that becomes the breach, right? So it's a moving target, and everybody who does this well, all the SOCs and the MSSPs who have sort of dedicated their lives literally to this mission, hats off to them, because this is a 24/7 game. It's like, before it used to be nice when you could sell a computer to someone, and if it breaks, you go, I'll give you a new one, or
right.
let me change the power supply in that thing, right? Now it's like it breaks and your company goes berserk.
Right.
You lose your credibility, and now the hackers are not even, they're not even locking up your data. They're just saying, yeah, we got your data, we're just going to release it. So it's like, anyways, it's we can go down this rabbit hole. I'm passionate about cybersecurity. That's why we actually are doing we actually created the IOTSSA and acquired the IOTSSA events within the US, is because we need to do something. And that something is, I think it's going to be what the channel needs. And if there's any indication of the results and the actual input we're getting from the community, the word we're getting is about time.
Yeah.
That we did this. And quite honestly, we're surprised that no one's done it before, and because you need to bring this village together, and you got to describe what that village is, though.
Right.
The village, to actually solve this problem, it's absolutely not about an event, right? An event is just where you meet, hang out, drink, and have some fun and chill and learn from each other, build relationships, right? The job is a 365 days a year job. And it starts with a marketplace where you can find the best of the best. It includes to have the ability to research your community to figure out what's going on. It includes a marketing automation platform to communicate the messages. It includes a content creation solution so you can explain the risks to your customers to get them on board. It includes a peer group so you can lean on each other as MSPs. It includes a dedicated sales program. We call it Selling Risks, that is going to help them to explain the risks versus reward to their customers better, as opposed to selling fear, right? Which we all see the news these days. And it includes all the learning center. It includes a mergers and acquisition center. It includes a partner building center. It includes an insurance component, so you can get the right insurance. I could go on, but there's about 20 components so far that we've identified that we are doing. We've already launching 16 of those 20, and we're just not going to stop until we get to the point when there is nothing left. That's it. We've got it all. So that's the ecosystem we're building.
Nice. Well, one of the things you said, I'm sorry.
No,
I just wanted to touch on something really quick that harps back to the conversation I had. You said, and maybe 4 or 5 of those pieces is learning and communicating, right? And I think those are probably, of everything, the most important. And if we have to ourselves learn, expand our knowledge, but also educate, communicate with our clients, our customers, because simple things can really get you in trouble, like a client not reporting if an employee leaves, right? We have to get them to understand the importance of that, to let us know, hey, you need to offboard this person because they're no longer here, so they shouldn't have credentials. Or the simple thing of teaching the client, do not let your employees share credentials. Things like that are extremely important. And it goes back to what you're saying about communicating to them the importance of this. It goes back to the saying, let me help you. And this is how you let me let you help.
Help me help you.
Yep. And then I think the biggest piece is to what you just said, Rick and Julian, is the fact of the constant change of trying to figure out how to handle these type of things, and how do you collaborate and get the community together to do such a thing, or provide an easy output or systems in place for them to create some type of ecosystem or marketplace, so that they have some type of foundational layer to go to, so that they can improve their security posture for not only themselves internally, but also for their clients as well. Julian, you even mentioned now that like the evolution of ransomware is, these bad actors are no longer ransoming things. They're now data extorting clients and things of that nature. And the fact that,
and it's smart, by the way, it's a smart plan, because, if you say, I'm just going to lock up your data, right? Encrypt your data, there's backup software that could get you out of the bind, depending on how far you want to go back. But now you're saying, well, I don't care if you recover your data, right? I'm just going to release a little bit on the dark web, and people are afraid of releasing data as well, because you got your secrets in there. You got a lot of stuff that's in there, right?
There's intellectual property, numbers, just, all kinds of just crazy things that can happen on that. And so the fact that not only have you are developing consistently, but also creating this ecosystem of vendors, tools, services that can allow to help that. Obviously, you're wrapping this launch around a great event that I've heard from my peers, as well as IOTSSA. So I know you kind of brushed over a little bit on how that event's coming up in the 16th and 17th, but I want to dive in more about what is IOTSSA, what is its, what can it do for channel partners, vendors to be involved with that event, and just a little bit more about them for those that either A, want to be involved, or B, want to attend to really take advantage of what you all are doing over there.
Well, if you want a front row seat to the whole program we're doing, the IOTSSA event is the place. So we've got 5 of them planned for 2023 across the U.S. And the next one that's coming up is February 16th and 17th in Phoenix, Arizona. And basically, it's a 2-day event. So people come the day before, maybe stay the day after, depending on how hangover they are. But in general, the reality is that we need to have a place where we bring all the experts together to kind of talk about this, learn from each other, and share ideas, basically, and exchange them, right? And one of the things we're going to be doing there, if you look at it, by the way, you can actually download the agenda, the actual agenda. We don't hide that information on our website, so you can see, play by play, minute by minute, what we'll be covering. So we'll be talking about, we're kicking it off with a gentleman who's actually an MSP, built a $25 million MSSP, and awesome practice. And he's going to be talking about the questions that all the MSPs and MSPs need to be asking themselves, their customers, and their vendors. And he convinced me, and I am a believer, that unless you can ask the right questions, you're not going to get anywhere. So we're kicking the whole show off with that. Then we're jumping right into a mastermind program where we're going to group every MSP in groups of 8. And we're going to be tackling their pain points in real time. And we're going to wrap that up over lunch so they can carry on that conversation. And then we're coming back with lots of different things. From hackers is going to be demonstrating how, the hackers are thinking these days. We'll be talking a bit about the social engineering and things like ChatGPT is going to cause a little bit of a havoc in the community. We've got people who's going to be talking about, we've got this sales, we're bringing in Shane Gibson, who's going to be having a bit of a presentation about the new program that he just developed specifically for us called Selling Risks, which is going to help everybody to up their game and how to explain and articulate risks versus rewards to their customers. I mean, every MSP, everybody who works for an MSP should take this course. And then we're going to be digging into cool vendors like ThreatLocker and LineGuard, how to automate that stuff, and Hornet Security. And there's a lot of vendors in there that's going to be showcasing their solutions. SOCs as well. We've got some really cool SOCs that's going to be talking about cybersecurity as a strategy, not as a service. And then we're going to put some CISOs up on a panel and grill them about what's happening and what happens in the world, and to kind of get some real-time feedback from those. We have a fun experience we call the Lines Den. It's the original 3-minute pitch, where vendors go up there, and that's the only time you can make a sales pitch at the event, by the way, is in the Lines Den. And you go up there, and the audience actually does the judging. And
Nice.
the one with the most votes get a cool award, and we give away some cash and so on. So we're trying to make it dynamic but interesting, so it's not boring. You cannot go to IOTSSA and make a sales pitch. If you want a sales pitch, we've got lots of other ways to do that. But it's about education, real education. It's critical. And I believe that if vendors lead with education, it pays back tenfold, right? Because that's really what people want to know is how to leverage that knowledge. I can go on about all the things that we've packed into this thing, but the biggest thing for me there is we're going to be launching the marketplace for the cybersecurity defense ecosystem. So it's going to be going live on the 16th and 17th. Everybody can actually open an account. You can play around with it. And what is this marketplace? This is the front door living room, if you will, of the ecosystem. So you go into there and you'll be able to see all the vendors that we are working with. By the way, to be a vendor in this marketplace, it's not about money. You have to be vetted by CISOs. And then once you're approved, you get a verified logo. And now you're able to be in the marketplace. Coolest thing about this is once you're in the marketplace, to stay in the marketplace is no longer the power is shifted over to the MSSPs and MSPs using the platform. If they like you stay. If they don't like you, you go. We have it's like the real Reddit of the game.
Nice.
And we need to have that responsibility. And so that marketplace is a game changer. And believe me, when you see it, MSPs and MSPs is gonna say, "Damn, that's what I want." Imagine having one place where you can find the best of the best cybersecurity solutions, right? You can then build your own bundles if you want. You can do a deal reg for multiple vendors on the same dashboard. You can do a quote for multiple vendors on the same dashboard. You can then flip that into a transaction and provisioning with the vendors on the same dashboard. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And vendors, they see the whole transaction flow so they can interact with their partners in real time. And the cherry on top, and this is a bit of a secret I'll release, is that if you really love this platform, which we think you will, you as an MSP can actually private label it, and you can have your own marketplace. So instead of joining the other marketplaces on the planet, which is cool, why don't you have your own marketplace for your own customers, so you could solve the cybersecurity problem in real time? So that's why we're excited about the marketplace being launched, and we have other platforms being launched as well at the same time. But you need to be in it because it's a beast to digest.
Sure.
So you got to take it bit at a bit. But that's what we're planning to do.
That's awesome. I think, as you mentioned, the big piece now, and I truly believe that our space is going toward this marketplace mentality. But I think what you've just, even let's peel the layer even back of the marketplace, what you're hoping to achieve and what you've just described is really removing that barrier and that just the resistance and the red tape that you have to go through sometime to just get to each individual vendor, and now have the ability to just do a one-stop shop, but a true one-stop shop of doing your deal reg, being able to talk to who you want to talk to, figure out what's going on, and have the ability to highlight that to your clients, the MSP's clients, to be able to really show, hey, we are trying to make not only the most, the best way forward of figuring out, all right, this is what we need to do, but we're going to try and make it as easy as possible for you so that we can make sure that we are mitigating that risk. We are trying to really figure out how do we even have a fighting chance to do something about the whole cybersecurity landscape. But one question I have for you on the event and where the debut of the marketplace is, is the marketplace available outside of after it has debuted in the event, or is it only available when you attend one of the events? And two, is the programming going to be different for each event, or will it be similar so that if someone couldn't make it this in Phoenix, they wanted to attend another one, they would still be able to get that great content that happened in the first one?
So the second question is, the content's going to be different at every event because we are like a fire hose of content. We'll have some remnants of it. We'll make some recordings of it. But yes, the marketplace is the only way you can access this marketplace, by the way, is if you become a member of the community. So you go to IOTSSA.com and a little button that says, and by the way, it's free to become a member. So you click on it, you sign up, and then you will be notified with the links so you can actually sign up and have your own instance, right? But you can only do it through this, and it's two-factor. There's a lot of security stuff built into it because that's what we want to be doing is being hacked. And so, it's a great way for the community you've got to be interested and want to solve the cybersecurity nut. I will tell you this, that our community now is well over 85,000 channel partners. And what's really, really cool is that, I know a lot of MSPs and MSSPs and SOCs, and I really dug into them. And I says, be the worst devil's advocate that you could be. Like, make me feel that I should not do this. Make me cry. Okay. Say that this is a waste of time. And they went into it, and they didn't even go into it 10%. And the results we got was, you're kidding me, man. This doesn't exist.
Right.
Why are we doing this now? Like, who didn't do this? Whose fault is it, right? And the reality is that I think most companies fail to put themselves in the shoes of the MSP.
Yeah.
Their lens is like, I know you don't know type attitude. You know what I mean? And it's like a one-way street, blah, 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 right? Look, there's 4,300 cybersecurity vendors on the planet today. And that number is continuing to grow. I've probably interviewed, I don't know, hundreds, if not thousands. I lost track. And quite honestly, every time I interview them, I know it feels like they've got a solution. Like, it feels good, It feels like, wow, you were smart. You got this, right? But then you realize they got part of the problem, right? And the biggest problem for channel partners, MSPs, is, what do I select? How do I create this noise, reduce this noise to something that makes sense? And then how do I stitch these things together that makes sense, right? And because you just can't keep adding another vendor because it sounds good, all right?
Right.
$14 billion were invested in just initial series funding for the cybersecurity industry in 2022. And that's just the ones we know of, right?
Right.
So it's a lot of money. And once a lot of money gets into the market, marketing folks are taking it over and they're changing the words around, right? So you got to be very careful. Does the solution really do that? Or does it work with something? Or does it, integrate somewhere else, right? And you got to be watching the words now. So what you get may not be exactly what you think you're getting. And in this world of cybersecurity, I think we all know, you got to know. You just can't think you know. You got to know you know. And it's what you don't know is what, crushes you, right?
What bites you in the butt.
Exactly. Anyway, so yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
No, yeah, it's all great points. I think exactly as you mentioned. I mean, it's such a vast topic, and we could probably go on forever to talk about just this particular. But as we round out, we're toward the end of the show here. But Julian, I know we only just touched the surface of what you got going on over at Techno Planet and just everything with IOTSSA and everything in between. Is there any final thoughts that you have to share before we're just going to have you come back and really just dive into a lot of the other things that you got going on? But is there any final thoughts you have on just, as we talked about the cybersecurity space, the marketplace that's coming here, IOTSSA, anything else to tell our listeners?
Look, I mean, for us, people describe information from Techno Planet as drinking from a fire hose because we do so much, right? But the best way to learn about us is follow me on LinkedIn if you want, and maybe go to the technoplanet.com. We've got an about section with a little map that shows your 30-year history and all the milestones we've created. So we've done a lot in the industry, but I'm a believer that history is cool, but what you're doing tomorrow matters, right? Today matters too, right? But tomorrow matters a lot. And so, all roads for us now is focusing towards cybersecurity. But I want to tell you that we also do a lot of stuff in digital transformation of business, and all the things that companies need to, become, a good player within the digital first economy. If there's a couple of things I could leave people with is that eChannel News is a really great source for unbiased information. People seem to like the interviews, and I go there with just an open heart and an open mind to bring you the goods and information. So if you want, you can subscribe there if you like. And if you really feel that cybersecurity is something that you want to, throw your hat into the ring, right? Then please bring your ideas because we want to incorporate them into the ecosystem. But also, join the party. And remember, you can't do this alone. And if you don't hang out with a community, then it doesn't work. And, like what you guys are doing with your own event, right? This is what it takes. People got to get together and figure this problem out. I mean, we're not going to do this if we're sitting in our silos. All right. So and that's what the hackers are hoping we do, right?
Right.
Yep. United we stand, divided we fall type attitude.
Well, right. What you don't know, you don't know. Yep.
Exactly. So come on down if you want to check it out on I think it's February 16, 17 in Phoenix, or any of the other events we're doing. We're actually coming to New Jersey. I think March 30th, we're going to be in New Jersey. Edison.
I'll be there.
Well, there you go. So we'll check it out. And it was a pleasure meeting you guys. I don't know if you have more questions, but that's
I appreciate you coming out today. We really appreciate you again coming out. Rick, any final thoughts before we round out the show?
Well, Julian, I just again want to echo Paco's sentiment and thank you for coming in today. I think you dropped a lot of wealth of knowledge for us and gives us a lot to think about. And we will drop in the show notes. You will find the links to IOTSSA, to this Cybersecurity Expo as well, and a link to eChannel News. But again, thank you so much. I think you have enlightened us a little and, give us some things to think about and some things to definitely look forward to going forward. So
my pleasure. Keep up the great work, guys. Love what you guys are doing. It's really amazing when you see MSPs rocking it out, man. So my peeps, good stuff for you.
No, I appreciate it. Again, Julian, really appreciate you coming on this morning. Talk to us about what's going on over at technoplanet.com, eChannel News, IOTSSA, everything in between, that marketplace that will be launching over. Again, as Rick said, we will make sure that these are in the show notes and everyone has access to those as well. And again, we appreciate you tuning in. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday to watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button to be notified whenever a new episode is available. You can also take us on the go. We're on all your favorite podcatcher apps. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, and of course, Apple Podcasts. We just want to thank you for listening, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.